what's the advice you could give to a teacher who's just overwhelmed by the new content?
I would say you don't have to do it all. You just have to pick the right things and do them well. Even a new teacher, you're going to get better every year. I'm sure some of our teachers that have been here for a long time feel like brand new teachers again this year because we have all of this material that's not familiar for any of us. And my motto from the beginning of the year was just try and find the things that you can do and try to be really good at those things, and then you add stuff as you go along. I think that's where you really need to focus, is like just picking those things that like I know are important and trying to get really good at them.
What's up, Beach Park District 3? Welcome back to Beyond the Bell, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on the heart and soul of Beach Park District 3, connecting with our incredible people and sharing their stories that make our culture unique. Today, I'm incredibly excited to sit down with someone whose work literally impacts every single classroom in our district, every single teacher, and every student. She is the engine behind the instructional vision and an advocate for professional growth. She joined Beach Park District 3 in year 2000. I know you wouldn't know it. With a passion for teaching and a love for children, whether she's leading professional development sessions, analyzing data to better support our staff, or visiting classrooms to see the magic happening in real time, her focus is always on the why. Please join me in welcoming our Director of Teaching and Learning, Mrs. Tracy Griffiths. What's up, Tracy?
How are you?
I'm so good, and I am so grateful for us to finally have connected. Thank you so much for taking the time. I think as a guest, you're just going to be such a pivotal person for our audience to listen to get an idea of what your job is and where have you come from and who are you. And I think that's the cool thing about doing this with our staff, that people are getting to know people when they never would have. So I'm grateful for you, and I just want to make sure that I show my gratitude to say thanks for spending time with me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know.
I saw a lot of the other podcasts and people are awesome. So I hope I live up to following them for sure.
There's no question. I guarantee it. And listen, I'm always nervous when I start too. So it's slowly fading away right now as we're talking, which is the best part. So, but we'll get into it. Listen, I know you didn't just wake up as a director one day. So if you could tell everybody in the audience just about your path in education, where did you start? And then what was your journey into getting to the position that you currently have in leadership? And were there people along your way that mentored you or things that inspired you to just continue to push?
Yeah, so I started like a lot of people. I know you've had a little bit more, non-traditional route, but I wanted to be a teacher since I was a little girl. Went to school, got my bachelor's degree. I was 21, I think, when I graduated. I started out, my first job was in a far south side suburb called Riverdale. And I taught there for 2 years. I came up here, like you said, in the 2000. So I've been here. This is my 26th year in Beach Park.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I taught at Little Beach, which is now Howe. Came over here to Kenneth Murphy Junior High and taught at the new middle school then. So I was in middle school for about 8 or 9 years. I can't even keep track of them anymore. Then I went to Newport and taught all different grade levels. And at the time I thought, gosh, this is a lot switching from year to year, because you feel like as a teacher you get better as you do things. And I kept switching grade levels, but coming full circle now to the job I have now, it's really was very beneficial for me to be in all those different positions. But after teaching, so I taught for, to my 19th year, I became an instructional coach in the district. At the time I was at Newport and I had taught first grade for quite a few years. And we had a principal at the time. She's no longer here, but she really encouraged me to become an instructional coach at that time. And it was a huge decision to leave the classroom. I love being in the classroom. I still love being in the classroom. I still love seeing the littles learn to read. And so it was a really tough decision, but I thought, what a great way to have an impact on more people in the district. So I became an instructional coach for 3 years. And then we were having some changes going on in the district. And Dr. Wilcox at the time was the curriculum director. And she gave me this wonderful opportunity to be the director of teaching and learning. Very scary. I was like, I don't think I'm ready. She's like, you are ready. And she gave me this great opportunity. And I thought, what an even bigger impact I can have on the district, being able to make decisions and kind of be in a lot of spaces. So I took the leap and I'm here. This is what I think my 4th year now, which is unbelievable that I've been out of the classroom for 7 years. That just doesn't even seem like it's been that long. It goes by so fast. But yeah, that's kind of my journey here. I love Beach Park. So I've just kind of grown here. I've grown up here. I wasn't when I started in this district, I was not married. I did not have children. And now, you know, I'm married for 24 years. I have a 23-year-old son. I have a 19-year-old daughter. So like I grew up here in Beach Park. So I didn't get to experience school here, but like my grown up years, like this is where I grew up. You
That's
were part of
phenomenal.
those because I remember you back in the day at Beach Park Middle School.
Yeah. You mentioned the scary part of moving into the district office, moving into leadership. I understand that. I guess maybe I'll just hit on it for a second because I know there's people in our audience. There's been guests on the show that are like thinking about the next thing they want to do,
Hmm.
and they're in school right now to get their leadership certificates, whether it be curriculum instruction or principal preparation programs, instructional leadership. What was the scariest piece of like doing these transitions from classroom into an instructional coach, then to the district office? Was the fear the same? What was the scariest part of that?
I set really high expectations for myself, and I wanted to make sure that if I was given the opportunity to either be an instructional coach or even this position, that I was prepared enough, that I knew enough to be able to do what's right for our teachers and our students. I mean, that's super important to me. And I think part of moving from class to class back then prepared me for making those changes. But I think sometimes you get a little imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah.
You're like, am I
Yeah.
the person for this? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, some days I still feel it. I also, like I worked with a lot of people in this district. So I really wanted them to see me moving to the next level and not and take me seriously. So I didn't know how people would perceive that either. So I think that's the scary part of like, are they going to take me seriously? I was, Tracy next door and now I'm having to give direction. So I think that's probably a scarier part too. Uh, and the first year was a little, not difficult, but I didn't have my wings yet either. And so I think, but like by year 4, I'm like, well, kind of getting comfortable in this role. And I think people see me, um, and they know my history here and they know that I want what's best for them and students here. So I think they see that too. So I think it's all kind of settling down now. But I think that's the scary part is taking that leap and wondering if you belong.
Yeah, it totally resonates with me. I mean, yeah, going from the classroom to just a different building when you're a teacher is pretty intimidating because you don't know what's there. And then moving into you couldn't have said it better, like moving into a leadership role, you go from being someone's peer to like now you're in this leadership role where you have, they think that they have to answer to you and like this authority.
Yeah.
Like, do I have the capacity to lead? And do I have what it takes to do that? And will I be seen as a leader? And how do I prove, more importantly, how do I prove myself through building trust with people to lead them? Because it's all about building the trust.
Right. And,
Yeah.
I'm sure people question, especially my leap to here, because it was, kind of a necessity at the time. I think they were like, oh, are you even qualified to do that job? So when people question it, then you start to question yourself. Am I qualified to do this
Yeah.
job? Kind
Yeah.
of,
Legit.
so you're like, maybe they
Yeah.
have a point. So I think it's just finding that confidence, that voice. The first year was a little scarier. And then as I grow and as, lead PD or I'm in a meeting and I see people respond to me, it gives you more and more confidence as you go along. So, just like as a teacher, new teachers, like your first year is your toughest and then it just gets easier as it goes. And not that you will have, not any challenges. It's just, you become a little bit more confident and a little more comfortable in your skin. So it's the same with leadership. It's just you're moving a building. I also you don't want to leave friends. And you're like
Yeah.
you're going
Yeah.
into the role that you can't always be friends with everyone
Yeah.
because you do have to make decisions that sometimes they're decisions that they don't make everyone happy. So, that's kind of sad. Like, of course, I still have colleagues that I see, and it's not that they're not friendly. It's just like, oh, it's different when you move to the big DO over here, and
Yeah.
so that was a huge decision to make.
Yeah, it's hard to get past the title. But I will say, my experience has been, especially as a principal in a building, like, it's a lonely job. I mean, it's such a great job to be an administrator and, like, to have maybe a broader reach and make a broader impact, but you do have to know, unfortunately, the reality is that you are leaving a group of friends, not that you can't be friendly with them, but, like, and it's not because you have to separate from them. It just makes the job more difficult when you don't have a little bit of separation and the optics of what that is as a leader. And you want to be equitable with everyone, where you can choose select your group of people, and you can have your friends as a teacher, and you have the people in your hallway or next door or on your team, and you grow with them, and you have these relationships. And like for me, those old relationships in the building all still exist.
Mhm,
And it's good because I'm not in the and I never led in the building I taught in. I think that's a really big piece too. It really helps with that, just because it automatically builds in some separation. But it is a transition. I love that you brought that up because it's something I haven't thought about, until, you hear it and you go, "Yeah, it can be lonely," but not lonely in a bad way. It's just you kinda have to make sure you're equitable, and being too connected to certain people, the optics just aren't good, and you have to grow as a leader to understand that you can't treat people differently. You have to treat everybody the same, and you have to hold people accountable. And I think maybe it's the accountability part that
mhm.
that really is difficult because now you're having tough conversations with your friends and people that you know
Right.
only because you need to do that.
Well, yeah, and being instructional coach, I was able to go to all the different buildings, but when you're a teacher, you focus on the environment around you. So you focus on Newport or OC or Howe or wherever it is that you're living at the time, right? And as a director, my focus has to be on the group as an entire district. So some decisions aren't always the most popular, but it's like trying to make sure people understand, like I'm looking from a lens at the top, and trying to make the best decision for everybody. And so when you're a teacher, you have, kind of the comfort of your little space. And as a director, it's a bigger world, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a lot different to receive directives than it is to disseminate them. It's a completely different world, right? Because now you're working with a lot of people. I mean, I think you said it perfectly. Parallel to that, and for those of us in the audience, especially newer staff, like, can you explain just what it is the director of teaching and learning does on a day-to-day basis, some of the tasks that you've had to do over your time in your position? Maybe someone's interested in what you do and you can give them some perspective.
Sure, this is what I really wanted to do going back a while when I got my master's degree in curriculum instruction. And it really, truly, every day I have to kind of look through the lens of, is our curriculum connecting together? For a long time in this district, everybody was doing something different. So right now, on a daily basis, like I'm looking at data, check in with people, make sure people have the resources. Some of the boring work is like title grants and all of bills and emails and supplies and all of that kind of stuff. But it's really looking at our district as a whole and making it more cohesive. Like all the pieces, are they all speaking to each other? Are they all making sense? Are we doing things that work together rather than like just we're piecemealing this, and this, because that's how our students are going to learn. My job, I'm always student centered. So sometimes, like I said, I don't make the most popular decisions, but I'm always thinking of what is best for our students.
Yeah.
But I'm connecting with our instructional coaches, connecting with principals, making sure that things are making sense. And then just all the little things, like things have to get paid. So grants are there. I do some meetings with the high school. I meet with other curriculum directors in the area. So yeah, I mean it's not always, fun and fancy, but my favorite thing is to get into classrooms. I wish I was in them more. It brings me joy. Um I'm sure I shared with you because I was sharing with everyone at district office. I love getting texts from teachers that are like, "Hey, look what's going on in my classroom." Like, because
Yeah.
I can't be everywhere, and so like if something really cool is happening, I have a few teachers that'll just, shoot me a text or an email. And my favorite thing is to kind of see what's going on. I know people think I walk around like trying to check to see what everybody's doing. I really just enjoy the learning part because I don't have that anymore. I don't have my first graders in front of me. So usually, if I'm stopping in, it's just because I need a kid fix. And I really just want to see what fun's going on in our classrooms. The biggest, I guess, overarching umbrella is like just making sure that our students have the best resources for them to move forward and achieve at high levels. So for any director of teaching and learning, that is it. And I also, look out for teachers, like what kind of professional development do they need? I know professional development is not popular to sit through a whole day of things that maybe somebody doesn't think is important, but um, you know, trying to make sure teachers have what they need. So professional development is a huge part of my job too. That goes along hand in hand with our instructional coaching as well.
Yeah, I've been around to listen to some conversations that you've had with regard to professional development. And we all know, like, as teachers, like, sometimes professional development just isn't applicable to us. And I hear you, like, navigating these conversations with Dr. Wilcox or Mr. Seda, just in, like, how do we meet the needs of all the teachers, not just the classroom teacher, but our specials teachers, our music, band, and our related service people. It's a difficult task.
It's hard. That's
Yeah.
probably the hardest part of my job. I'll
Yeah.
say that.
And I know you struggle with that, and I think it's important the audience just hears, like, these conversations do happen, and it's hard to do that. But I would be remiss, I think, to not say it out loud, just so the people that are listening know that we know that professional development isn't always targeted just at you, and you want to broaden that. And I think maybe the best strategy for that is continue to reach out to all of us at the district office. Mrs. Griffiths is fantastic, and she's going to go above and beyond to try to meet that need. And if she can't, she's going to figure out a way to do it with the other directors and the assistant superintendent, the superintendent in the district. So don't be shy to shoot an email.
Right. I'm trying, believe me. Like, we'll have an institute day and I'll think like I have everything planned out great. And then I was like, ooh, what about this group? What about this group? You were there. And I was like, and so it's tough. And just know I'm trying all the time with
Yeah,
that.
you are.
Um, but yeah, so that's the toughest part of my job. I think the other part is easy, and the visiting the classroom parts is like the cherry on the cake. It's the best part of my day if I get into a classroom.
Yeah. Well, what is it about Beach Park District 3 that made you say, hey, this is where I want to lead and make an impact?
So, over the years, like I live quite a bit of ways now from school. I didn't when I started, and like there was many, many times that my kids, my own personal children, would be like, "Mom, you should come up here and teach. You should do this." And I thought about it. The whole goal when I moved out to where I live now was to teach in Wisconsin somewhere. And as the years go on, I just am just attached to this community. I have loved everything I've done in this district. Are there easier years than others? Of course there are. But for the most part, I feel like it's a place, especially now with Dr. Wilcox, like she wants to grow the people in our district. But the community here, the kids here, they're so proud of being from here, and they're so excited. If you ever do, I know bus duty, it's a really fun time of day if you're not focused on how cold it is outside or whatever, just to see the little faces coming
Yeah.
off the bus.
Yeah.
Like, parents are really, proud of being here. The community, my husband grew up in the surrounding areas. And so I just really enjoy being here. And like I said, I think now looking back, it was just a place where I grew. And so when you're comfortable somewhere and you feel like you're able to grow and you're able to be yourself, and we have a leader now. I know she says it all the time, but I truly can walk into Dr. Wilcox's office and talk to her about anything, even if it's something we disagree about.
Yeah.
And I feel like she'll listen. And I feel like I've been given so many great opportunities here to grow and to be myself that it's really hard to leave.
Great.
Are there places that are closer to my house that I probably could apply for a job? Of course. Are there places that I might make more money? Probably. But there's just something about being here, the comfort of it. We have amazing teachers and staff.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kids are just wonderful. Like they're so stinking cute, but it's really a great place to grow. And if, you're considering somewhere, it's really, truly, there are so many opportunities for you to
Yeah.
do different things, or just like even the fact that like, if you feel like you need to transfer a building or grade level just to try something different, there's always opportunities to do that.
Yeah, and we just sent that out, and we're getting people who are like, I want to put my name on the list for voluntary transfers. I don't know what I want to do. Will you just let me know if something opens up? And I would like to entertain that. Not that I'm not happy where I'm at, but you offered, and I would love to be on that list and have a conversation about it. So I think that's really important to know that you've got flexibility. You're not locked into something. And people have taken us up on the offer, and every year we send this email out, and we do these requests, and we provide an opportunity. So I'm glad you mentioned it. You oversee the what and the how of what we're doing as far as teaching goes. What's the advice you could give to a teacher who's just overwhelmed by the new content? It always feels like maybe it's not something new all the time, but this is a new year. We've invested a lot in professional development and just the curriculum, the materials to support the curriculum. What do you say to somebody who's just feeling like, man, it's so much?
It is overwhelming, and I know partially that's my fault. So I do feel bad about it. But I would say you don't have to do it all. You just have to pick the right things and do them well. So even a new teacher, like, you're going to get better every year. I'm sure some of our teachers that have been here for a long time feel like brand new teachers again this year because we have all of this material that's not familiar for any of us. And my motto from the beginning of the year was just try and find the things that you can do and try to be really good at those things. And then you add stuff as you go along. So you don't have to do everything right now. You don't have to do everything perfectly. Find those few little things and do them well. Kids are going to learn, kids are going to be engaged. And then as you become comfortable, it's going to become easier and there's going to be things that you can add in or things that you can do, or an idea will pop up in your head as you're driving to work or whatever. And those things, will come. I think that's where you really need to focus is like just picking those things that like I know are important and trying to get really good at them. Hmm.
In consideration of your position, what would be an achievement in our teaching practices that you're most proud of as a district?
So I think, and you will remember this from way back in the day. I walked into a classroom and basically was handed some old Basil reader. Maybe it had a teacher's guide, maybe it didn't. And they were like, here you go ahead and teach. And we didn't have Common Core standards. We didn't have anything. We just had a book. And just as we progressed as a district, and then, Dr. Wilcox came in and she was very instrumental in creating our frameworks. Every school had different resources and everybody was kind of piecemealing things together. So I think a big accomplishment, and I know it's been overwhelming this year, but when I made the decision to move to HMH, it was because I wanted from kindergarten to 8th grade to have a cohesive set of materials that they were using so that it was the same academic language. It was the same platform that they're going to start using. And I know we're not going to reap those rewards, excuse me, until later on. At some point when kindergarten starts, and by 5th grade, just imagine what they'll have known. And by 8th grade. So I think the biggest thing in my position that I feel like I've brought to the table is that I've brought that cohesiveness with the materials that we're teaching from. And also we have materials that mimic in Spanish, so before even our dual language students had something completely different than what our monolingual students were learning. So I think that cohesiveness is the proudest thing that I've done so far.
Yeah.
And there's only things to come. A kid should go from Oakcrest to Howe or whatever. If they move, they should be doing and seeing the same things. And I think before we just had such a variety of materials that was available and some schools had more than others. And so just kind of getting that equity and cohesiveness, I think that's a big accomplishment.
You've been elementary, you've been middle school. Have we ever had materials that supported curriculum that bridged both the middle and elementary schools together?
Not since I've been here.
Okay.
In 26 years, I'll say no, we haven't. And that was super important to me because I remember like back, and I'm sure you heard conversations too. Like I said, I'm aging both of us because we've been here for a long time. But there was always conversations. Well, this school has this school has this, we have this, and it was like, so whoever asked for something got it, but nobody else did. And so that's one of the biggest things I know. Like people will ask for different, resources, and I would love to say yes to everything, but you have to be mindful of, is it equitable? Is everybody receiving, this resource? And of course we have special populations that need extra things. And so that's not what I'm talking about, but like one first grader across the district should have the same resources and the same opportunities.
Yeah, equal access for sure. I don't know if it's appropriate. Can you pull back the curtain? Is there anything that is in the works, maybe in the background, that you'd be willing to share with anybody? Like, is there something small that might be around the corner that maybe enhances that or helps promote it or makes the job a little bit easier or is an add-on?
I'm sure people are holding their breath. So I'm not changing anything. What I really want to hone in on next year is we've had 1 year of HMH and, you get a little comfortable with it. And so what I think the coaches and I will be working on later this year and over the summer is kind of just hammering out a scope and sequence that kind of spells things out a little bit more clearly for teachers. HMH is got a ton of resources, but no one has the time to search everything out. And so we're going to do a little bit of that. I think it'll make teachers a little bit more comfortable about their pacing and that kind of stuff. The only, and I'm not throwing anything new at them. I'm just going to, kind of give them a few tools, I'll say. But then the only other thing that might be like science at the middle school, we've been kind of exploring some different materials. I think science and social studies kind of feel like they get left out sometimes because we focus so much on math and reading
Yeah,
because
for sure.
those are the big, the testing areas. So science, we've been, I'll give a shout out. Zach Duffy has been doing a lot in getting some resources and looking at those things. And so we might dabble a little bit there, but just know HMH is not going anywhere. We're going to refine it. We're going to add some things like as they are more comfortable. There's some different projects and stuff that maybe they didn't get to this year that teachers might want to dabble a little bit more in the inquiry-based projects, but nothing brand new.
All right. That's a sigh of relief for the audience, I think. I mean,
Probably.
and it sounds just like a natural progression, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. And that's something I, as an educator, would appreciate having a scope and sequence, some outlining, and something that's a little bit more definitive to follow. So thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
Years from now, when people talk about Beach Park and the Beach Park way of doing things, of teaching and learning, what do you hope people are saying?
I hope they say, "Man, are they student-centered?" Everything they do revolves around those students, and they want what's best for those kids. I'm always thinking about, like, even with HMH, some of the districts surrounding that have a little bit more flexibility in their spending and things like that, a little more affluent, have HMH. And so people are like, "Ooh, bringing in HMH." I'm like, "Hey, our kids deserve anything anybody else deserves." And so I hope they know that in 5 years, they're like, wow, they do focus on students. Teachers are able to grow and learn and be supported. That's a big thing. The support is huge. And I think that they have clear expectations, clear communication, and they really just want what's best for the kids there.
That's a fantastic answer. Man, perfect.
That's my life.
But yes, like, yes. So thank you for that, for sure. So, like, from an instructional leadership perspective, what makes Beach Park District 3 a place where a teacher can truly grow a full career, a lifelong career, rather than just having a job?
I think there's a lot of opportunities here. Administrators with this team here at the district office. I know we're kind of like in this little bubble by ourselves, but we all collaborate here. And I think that knowing that there's consistent collaboration and doing what's best for our staff and our students. And I think knowing that there's support there, there's room to grow here. There's opportunities for professional development inside of the district, outside the district. I rarely tell people they can't go and do professional development. I can't offer everything here. So if there's something they really want to learn about and they tell me that XYZ, this is why it's going to be good, and I'm going to share it with, my colleagues, as long as I have the funding for it, I rarely say no.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because I don't think every district is like that. There was a lot of years here until I was an instructional coach. And in this position, there were a lot of years I didn't do any professional development outside of the district, except for like our institute days would be the only thing that we had. And I think we give a lot of support here. I think our mentoring program's really good. I think that just having an instructional coach in all of our buildings
Yeah.
is really helpful for new staff and for staff that just want to kind of, hone in on something specific in their classroom. So we all need a coach. We all need help. We all need support. And I think this is the place that you're going to get that on a regular basis.
That's awesome. I totally agree with you, for sure. And that'd be a great thing to hear. So, maybe a tough question for you. You directly oversee some amazing people. They're all great. Is there anybody in particular, not a favorite, just somebody you'd want to give a shout out to, somebody maybe you worked with recently, somebody that's done something really innovative with curriculum that's just really inspired you recently?
You know, I'm gonna say this, and I have got to give a shout out to our instructional coaches, the whole team. They work super hard and they're behind the scenes a lot of times, and people don't realize what they're doing. They build all these relationships with teachers. They do things, kind of under the radar because that's kind of what coaching is. Our veteran teachers use them for lots of different resources. They're on BLT teams and they're doing stuff after school. They really do a whole lot, and they try to be as supportive as they can. So I'm going to give a shout out to them. I just met with them today and I was telling them how excited I was to do the podcast, and they're like, "Oh, are you going to give a little plug for coaching?"
Good.
Yeah. And I said, "Oh, we'll see," kind of thing. But they are my lifeline to the rest of the district. They really kind of keep me on my toes, like of things that we need. There's times that they're so confidential, it drives me crazy because I don't know what's going on with specific teachers, but they have a pulse on buildings and they know what the needs are and what's going on and how people are feeling. And it's usually behind the scenes. And I don't think they get enough credit. I think sometimes they kind of fly under the radar a little bit. So I'm going to give a shout out to my team.
They're clearly going to appreciate it. I didn't ask so you could do that, but it sounds like, there was a conversation already, and that's awesome,
They
man.
better be listening to this.
You
Who
would be,
knows?
I would hold it against you if you called out just one person. Then I'd be like, well, my coaches are great, but this one coach. So I know that's an awful way to ask a question for you. But you know what I would like to ask you is, you mentioned just now their discretion. I think it's really important because it's something I was up against as a principal. Like,
I know you
instructional
were.
coaches would share nothing with me. They would say like super ambiguous things to me as a leader. They'd say, hey, you might want to, you might want to have a conversation about this material or the execution of this piece of instruction. Or you might want to attend a couple of PLC meetings to have additional conversations. And I would just want to know about what? Is it somebody? Is somebody I can help with support? Is there somebody that needs additional support? And they are so discreet. And I bring it up because I don't think even teachers understand the discretion. I know as an administrator, and I would imagine as a teacher having an instructional coach come into my room, how much is being shared, because I want my coach to be a safe place for me to make mistakes or to find these opportunities that are my areas of weakness that I could grow in. But I would think it'd be a natural thought to be like, man, are they going to go back to my administrator and then talk to them about me and say how I'm not doing something? My lens, and I can tell the audience right now, as a principal for 6 years, they don't tell you anything. At least they didn't tell me anything.
You used to
And
get
I mean,
really frustrated. I know.
I was so frustrated because I would come to you. I'd be like, yo, listen, like they're telling me I should be focused on specific things. Happy to do it.
Yeah,
But
what's going on?
what's happening? Yeah. So will you speak to it just for a second?
So my coaches are great in that. The nice thing is that they go into classrooms. Typically, if we have a discussion about something going on, there's no names attached to it. They're like, "Hey, I was in fourth grade." Not that there's a million fourth grade teachers in that building or whatever, or they'll be like, "Hey, this material." The greatest part of having them in there is that they see in real time how things work. Now, when I go in, it's a little different, and I'm always like, "Why is it different? It's just me, like, you taught with me, but I am in a different role," and so I get it, and so people get super nervous, and I'm really honestly, like I said, I'm just going in for, like, my kid fix, or I just wanna see how things are going, but they're in there, and they can see how things are working. So if part of HMHs or bridges or into math. We have new math at the middle school this year. If those things aren't working, they can really say, "Hey, I noticed this," or "We need some more professional development on this." And so that's kind of where that comes from. And I know it's so funny because I was a coach when you were a principal.
Yep. You were one of the people for me. It's like, tell me, Tracy. And he said, that's not the
Whose
job.
room were whose room were you in? We're like, "We're not
it's,
telling you
it's
that."
true.
And you would get so frustrated because it's really not a gotcha for anybody. It's just like, "Hey, we want to help. We want to support." And things aren't going to go perfectly all the time. And they come to me and we problem solve things without names attached to it.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. Like I was telling you, where I'm sitting in a meeting, I'm supposed to have an hour meeting. It usually goes 2 hours. I don't even know why I schedule it only for an hour because we're really just kind of talking about things that are going well. Like that's how we start every meeting is like, what's going really well? And they'll be like, "Oh, Or I met with a teacher, and they wanted me to come co-teach with them, or we're doing this, or I mean, we really celebrate a lot of things going on in our district. And then we get to the nitty-gritty of like, okay, like what are some things that we need to work on? Is there professional development we need to lead? And so that's really what coaching is about. It's really not trying to catch somebody not doing something. It's really about how can we make things better and how can we support our teachers?
Yeah.
They're all for the
Yeah.
it's not for kids. That's the one part of my job that focuses strictly on teachers and staff. And it could be any teacher, it could be a TA, it could be a principal, it could be whoever. Our coaches are pretty awesome at keeping their sometimes I'm like, just tell me who it is. And they're like, nope, sorry.
So it happened. Okay, good. So it happens to you
Yeah,
too.
no, it happens to me
All
too.
right.
And when I was a coach, we'd do the same thing to Dr. Wilcox, and she'd get
Okay.
angry at us. And I'm like, because, it is really kind of a safe place for them to take chances, try things out. Everything we try isn't going to be perfect. And so I don't need to know that. I'm just happy people are trying, right? So,
Yeah.
but then they could say, hey, we have this part of HMH. It doesn't work because of our schedules. And then we can look at scheduling. So it's just kind of a problem solving thing.
Yeah, I just, I bring it up because, yeah, that did frustrate me. And you were one of my instructional coaches and you wouldn't share information. But I think the other part of it actually is, I mean, as an administrator, I always respected it. And I was grateful for it. And we didn't always have instructional coaches to support our teachers. And there's just no way administrators could be in the classroom and create a safe space because you can't get past you can't get past the title. My principal's in the room. And that's difficult, right? So are you really seeing the actual execution of instruction and good and best practice. So I want the audience to know that I want to promote the coaches because they're great. I also want to, as an administrator in a building and now in the district, like use them. Please use them because there is a maximum level of discretion being used and they are probably guaranteed, not even probably, they're your best resource. They're great. All right, I hammered on you. I put you in some tight spots there.
Oh,
And
how fun.
listen. I'm so like I just love chilling and hanging out with you. It really is awesome. But I want to do some lighthearted stuff now. I want to give you the
Okay.
quick fires. Are you
All
ready
right.
for them? I'm super interested in these answers for real.
Okay.
I hope our audience enjoys these too. And if you guys ever have any quick fire questions you want me to ask people, just put them in the comments, please. Uh, what was your favorite subject when you were a student?
Literature. Loved it. Loved reading. Loved anything math, not my strong suit. Reading was the best.
Okay. Go to energy boost for the day. Diet Coke. All right, Diet Coke.
Usually what's in my cup every morning I walk in this district office, McDonald's Diet
Yeah.
Coke. So if anyone ever wants to treat me, bring one over. You'll be my best friend.
All right. Perfect. Are you a paper planner person or strictly digital calendar?
Well, I'm kind of a mix, but mostly paper. I think just my age, I'm aging myself. I'm a paper planner. I have like a to-do list on my little thing. That's just how I do things. I'm getting a little better with electronic things, especially, Sophia, one of my coaches, she's always, kind of laughs because she does electronic stuff. So I'm kind of both, but paper.
I'm both. Yeah. I mean, I got I write down stuff that I've already done and put little boxes and I check them off just to make it feel like I've actually accomplished something.
Yeah, that's me.
And then I can go back and I'm like, I got a lot more to do. All right. What are you currently binge watching, listening to?
Ooh, so you and I have this conversation all the time. We
We
share
do.
binges. I love anything true crime though, and I'm waiting to binge a couple shows. I love Shrinking, but I want all of the episodes to come out, so I'm waiting for all the episodes to be out because it'll kill me just to watch one at a time. So, and I love the same thing with this show. I binged the first season of The Pit.
Yeah.
Loved so those are my two, but I'm waiting for the whole seasons to come out so I can just sit and veg and watch them.
I know. Can you believe we grew up in a world where we had to wait for shows once a week?
I know. Drives me nuts.
Listen, my wife tricked me the other day and it was, I knew that Shrinking wasn't coming out for the whole episode. I know it rolls out that way and I love that show. And she played it and it was such a good episode. And I was like, well, let's just hit that second episode and it hadn't come out. And I was like, why would you do this? Why would you do this
I
to us?
know, it's
Why would you
torture.
do this to us? You know better than this. We could find anything that's
I know.
already all the way out to get from start to finish.
Yeah, torture. If anyone hasn't seen Shrinking, you should really watch it. It's a great
'Cause
show.
it's endearing. It's every emotion too. It's a tough one to get through. If you could travel anywhere in the world tomorrow, where would it be?
my bucket list, Italy is top on my list.
Okay.
Italy and Ireland are the 2 places I really wanna go one day when I
Why?
retire. Why? So Italy is more so like that's where my family's from, and I just kind of like my grandma would talk about places, and that was like a big trip for her back then, and I just think it'd be awesome to kinda see where, my roots are from. And then Ireland has just been like my husband is a big with Ireland, like he's Irish, and we have a friend that's from Ireland. And I just think I actually would love to travel with him. I think that would be the best is him and his family, because then you go to the right places in Ireland instead of the tourist places. You
For
go to the
sure.
really cool places. So those are my 2 big
Roots.
travel
Yeah,
destinations.
it's all about the roots then. Okay. Good. Best concert or live performance you've ever seen, and who was the band and where was it?
Okay, so I was thinking about this and I was like, oh, because I love concerts. I don't get to go to a lot of them. So two summers ago, Alpine Valley, Hootie and the Blowfish did a reunion. Like it wasn't just Darius Rucker. And I saw him back in 1993 at Eastern Illinois University in the gym before they were popular. And so it was like a full circle like event for me. And they were at Alpine, great show. And then my husband and I love Big Head Todd and the Monsters. People probably have no idea who that is, but we do a lot of shows with them. They play in really small places, but Hootie was, whew, that was really fun and really nostalgic for me, I think.
Yeah. You mentioned Eastern. Did you go to Eastern?
I did go to Eastern.
Okay.
Proud graduate,
All right.
Panthers.
Yep, Panthers. All right. Yeah. And you're currently in school now?
I am. I was hoping you didn't bring this up, but I am. I'm very sh- I'm I have a few months or, 6, 8 months. I'll be finishing my doctorate.
Okay. That's worth a clap. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what I'm predicting. It could be longer. So,
Yo, I'm so proud of you. I don't, any advice you'd give to anybody thinking about going back to school while they're working and doing the grind?
yeah. So, when I went back to school for my master's, and people would be like, wait till the kids, wait till I was pregnant with one kid. Like, my master's, I felt like, not that it was easy, but I love going back to school. My husband hates that I like going back to school because of the money part of it, but I love going back to school. Doctorate is like, giving me a run for my money. I will say that. But I will tell you, I wasn't going to do it. Dr. Wilcox really, encouraged me to get my doctorate, and she's part of my committee. She's my content expert. And I was sitting at the kitchen table talking to my family at the time, and I was like, yeah, Caden's last year of football and Addison's going to college. And I was like, and my son looked at me and said, it's never going to be the right time. Might as well just do it. And so, like, that's really good advice, because you always think that there's going to be a better time to do it. And there's just going to be something else in your life going on.
Yeah.
So I think just if you want to go back to school, do it. Like, it's really beneficial. And at the time when I got curriculum instruction, I didn't know if I was going to be in this job, but like, I did that in my leadership, and then all of a sudden this job opened up, and the opportunity was there, and I got to take it. Because if
Yeah.
I had never done that, I wouldn't have been able to take that opportunity.
That's wisdom right there. Like preparing for maybe the unknown. And
Yeah.
I've said it multiple times in the show. I would rather have an opportunity come my way and be able to say no to it than to have an opportunity come my way that I want and have not prepared myself. So I totally agree with that. Off the top of your head, what's the best piece of advice you've ever heard? Because I think that was really awesome from your
Yeah,
son.
that was my college student right at the time. Like,
That's
there's
great.
always yeah, I know. Hopefully he'll watch this. Who knows? I'll make him.
That's really good.
But for him to say that to me at the we were all sitting there because I wanted to have a conversation with them, because it's gonna take time away from them, and it's gonna
Mhm.
take time away from being able to be at everything. And I've really balanced it a lot right now, but I know there's gonna even come a time right soon that I'm gonna have to be consumed with this dissertation. And for him to say, like, there's never gonna be a right time. If you wanna do it, do it. I wish he'd take his own advice sometimes, Yeah, like, you can't just keep waiting, like,
From
just
a
jump
mother to
in.
son.
Yeah,
Listen, I
and
know
he
your
was
son's successful. You have a successful family because I know you, and you're so proud of your children. So if they are listening, listen, your mom loves you, and she is proud of you. And I get
my
to hear
daughter's a
about you.
future educator, so
Yeah, your
she'll be
daughter's a future educator, man. Like you're raising them right. Um,
I
so
try.
important. Last
I try.
question. I'm gonna leave you alone. Why did you choose to do the podcast with me?
You know, well, I think just so people can get to know me a little bit better. I know there's a lot of people in the district that we've known each other for a long time, but there's so many new people, and I think they see me and they get nervous or whatever. And so I wanted them to get to know me a little bit. I also think it's important they know kind of where I'm coming from when I make decisions. And of course, I love just, chit chatting with you. We're in the same office, so we get some time, but it's, I just thought it would be a fun way for people to get to know me. And I think it's important that it's not just all of our teachers, that people get to know our directors as well, because we are in this little bubble and we are in this separate office and we may not be in classrooms as much as we want to. But we're here for you and we want to support you in anything we do. And I just want people to know that.
Yeah. For all those reasons are why I really wanted you to be on it too. I just think you're fantastic.
Thank you.
You are so great, and I'm really grateful that you decided to do it with me, and I appreciate you being transparent with everybody today and providing just a glimpse of who you are as a human being. And I really would encourage anybody to just roll up, say hello, say, hey, I watched the podcast, I got to know you a little bit, I really enjoyed hearing this, that, or the other thing. It's so important. It's easy to look at the district level title and see just policy or procedure or initiative. But talking to you today, right, it's clear that there's deep heart for our students, a massive amount of respect for our teachers and that are in the trenches every single day behind everything that you do. And we're lucky to have you and your vision and your patience and all the things that people don't get to see going on with you because you're just grinding away every day. For our audience, you guys know where you can find Mrs. Tracy Griffiths on her way to completing her doctorate, which is so amazing. I'm so super proud of you. She's at the district office. I'll pop her email in here. It'll pop up somewhere over here, I guess it would be. I know you're always knee deep in data. You're planning the next big win at one of the schools. Thank you so much for your time. If you're an educator who wants to work in a district where curriculum is intentional, leadership's accessible, we want to meet you. We want you to be here. We want you to be part of our family. I'm going to encourage you to head over to bpd3.org, check out the employment page. Positions are going to start popping up as we're just in that season, and we would love to have you become part of our family. To our current BPD family, as I always say, thank you so much for being the ones who bring the teaching and learning to life every single day. Thank you for all that you do for our students, our staff, our families, our community. I can assure you that your work does not go unnoticed, from the district office to your administrator in your building to the teachers across the hall from you. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being you. Do not forget that you are someone else's person, that you have an impact on their life. So look where you're at, your surroundings. Look for people who might be struggling. Look for people who need to be picked up. Don't forget to encourage the people that are around you. It's so super important. Always say hello to people because we all need that. Thank you so much for tuning in to BPD3 Beyond the Bell. I'd like to invite you guys to like and subscribe to our podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, as we're on all the major channels, and then social media, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Feel free to leave comments, suggestions as I work to grow the channel. Your feedback is so super important. I'm trying to go in and like everybody's likes. I'm trying to comment back and say thank you so much for taking a look at the show, and leave me some suggestions, please. So, that said, Tracy Griffiths, anything for the good of the order?
No, you just summed it all up. Thank you, everyone, for all that you do. Thank you, Gabe, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate everybody. All right, and then that is goodbye. Thank you.